What about the intrinsic value in the brand and the spirit that the entrepreneurs poured into that, and where it's going to go over time?
And I'll tell you why in business those don't matter. Okay, they don't matter because a business has one function and one function only: is to produce profit. I could have $1 billion of hard assets, and if I'm breaking even, that business may be worth less than the fair market value of my assets, because the only way I can dispose of those assets is to liquidate them. Okay. I don't want to own a business because it's in a geographical location. I don't want to own a business because it has some beautiful logo. I want to own a business because it produces profit.
No, but yeah, I mean, you look at a business like YouTube, you look at some of these things that they haven't...
That's different. Yeah. Okay, that's different. Okay, and there, the way that you do that is, and even this formula that I'm giving is nuanceable to accommodate that.
Sure.
Because there, what you're looking at is the future growth curve of that business. Okay? And so now you do a pro forma, you project that out.
And discount it.
Right, and then there's a way to discount it back. Thank you. Very, very good way to do that. Now also, let's take even the formula that I gave you. Let's take a restaurant, two restaurants worth the same amount of money, asset-wise, both earning $100,000 in profit. But one is in a bad neighborhood that's declining, and the other is in a up-and-coming area where it's growing in leaps and bounds. But at this moment in time, the same asset value, hard asset, and same income. Which one would you rather own?
Same asset value, same income, but you got one that's on a growth. Yeah, on the growth.
It's a no-brainer, right? You want the one that's in the great area. And so it's clear that that one has more value. Now, the reason I said, this is an interview. I can only do so much here.
Yeah.
I can't get out my spreadsheet and go through all the numbers and the nuances.
Right.
They're all designed to take care of that. They look at the trends of the business. They look at certain other things that are going on. But the base formula is authoritative in terms of how it gets there. Now, the reason that this is important is when I'm sitting down, because let's get back to the question you originally asked, which is, okay, the seller wants this astronomical price for the business, and it's not worth it. We're real clear that he's smoking something, right?
Right.
So we want to get him back to ground zero. As long as it's his opinion versus my opinion, we're not going anywhere. But the minute we can get it down to quantifiable, authoritative methods and structures, now neither one of us can be really unrealistic about it anymore. And so what we do is we take the sheet, we take the structures, and without discussing the end price, we talk about the process. If we value this business based on this, if we give credit to this, if we handle this way, do you think, and now you're the seller, right, would you say that's a fair approach to this? Okay, and you get agreement on the logic.
Well, essentially, you have to sell the owner on the value of taking whatever action it is that you suggest. Yeah.
Right. But what we're doing is we're agreeing that we're agreeing to an authoritative tool used by every major method of appraising a business or valuing a business, one that we together can quantify.
And it's either going to appeal to them or not.
Right. Yeah. They either want to be reasonable or they don't.
Right.
Okay. And if they really want to be reasonable, because you start with, now that's fair, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
Right. Nobody wants to not be fair, right? So it gives you a tool that you can use to bring people to a point of fairness, and without it, it's very difficult because it's my opinion versus your opinion.
Yes. But ultimately, like if the owner, because obviously the owner started a business for some reason, and oftentimes it's something that's in their heart. They want to go make it happen. Maybe not. Maybe they got into it because they thought it was a way to make money, and now they're done with it, and they want to kind of shed themselves of it. But maybe at one time it was their passion, and now they're feeling like, boy, this is too hard. I'm not making it work.
The biggest reason that a lot of businesses are for sale today, there's two huge reasons that businesses are for sale. One is they are owned by baby boomers and they're getting close to retirement. And the biggest wealth transfer on the planet is going to happen over the next 10 years as these boomers reach retirement age and have to get rid of their companies. They can't, they're ready to give them up. And the other reason is the disenchantment that a lot of people have in business, not because there's anything wrong with the business, but they built it with the idea that that they were going to bring their kids into it. That their kids were going to become part of the business. And today, kids grow up. There's so many things for them to do, and they're encouraged to really pursue their own interests.
Right.
And so what happens is the vast majority of kids whose parents own businesses really don't want any part of it. And then they realize that and say, well, maybe there's really not a reason for me to be in this business.
Would you say for somebody that's not real educated in the process of purchasing a business that they should bring in a consultant or an expert to help them facilitate that process?
Not only should the buyer look to do that, the seller should look to do that too. And the reason is I don't care how sophisticated you are as an operator of a business. The chances are that you only sell a business once or twice in your lifetime. And it's sufficiently sophisticated in how you even position your business to command the most purchase price. Most people in small businesses, for example, never run their businesses with the idea of maximizing their sale values. What they run their business to do is to maximize cash flow into their pocket, which is counterproductive to building your business for a high selling price.
Right.
Every dollar you take out of your business in income is $4, $5, $7, $10 of equity value that you're diminishing its sale value. So
Right.
you're reverse leveraging yourself. The more money you take out in income, now you have to take a certain amount because you got to live. You
Right.
got to live a nice lifestyle. But if you're building your whole business with the idea of every time you make a profit, you're pulling it out, and you're pulling it out, which is what a lot of people do.
You get a low valuation.
You're destroying the value of that company because the value of the company is its ability to produce profit.
Now, if you're bringing an expert in, how do you find that expert, and how much do you pay them?
Good question, and I'm not sure that I'm even the best person to ask that because in my particular case, I sort of am an expert, and I don't hire too many of me.
Right, right.
And I normally don't sell my services for that, so I don't price them into the marketplace. But it's like anything else. The ways you find anything today, I don't care what you're looking for, you're going to find the internet is one of the most prolific methodologies of doing that. And so if I had to do that today, what I would do is I would go on the internet and I would put in certain key phrases like business analyst, business this, business marketing expert, business sales expert, or various key phrases that identify what you're trying to do. That'll produce I can't say the word. A lot of names.
Right.
And then what you do is you then start to inquire. What do you do? What's your background? What are your fees? What do you charge?
Now, but what would
the
be
advantage of me hiring you versus
Somebody
your competitor?
else, yeah.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of questions that you sit down and ask them, and it's like no different than any other form of shopping.
what type of fees are we looking at, though? What would you think would be reasonable?
Well, it's certainly going to be in the range of what business brokers charge, which is anywhere from 5 to 10% of the value of the company. It's going to be somewhere in that range. So you're talking a lot of money.
Right.
Okay, but they'll usually work with you to take it on the sale. Most of those fees tend to be contingent. Now, if you're selling a company and you want to package it for sale, you may have an upfront fee there for somebody to create a book. It's called a book, okay, where they package you. They list your assets. They show your growth trends. I mean, they do everything they know how to do.
And make it look good.
To make you look good, right?
Right.
It's like hiring a professional resume writer, right?
Right.
So one of the reasons I don't like buying companies that have been through that process, the minute I see a book, I throw it away. And the reason for that is I know it's been packaged.
Right.
The only things I want to see when I buy a business is the tax returns.
Right.
Because the tax returns are the only thing you'll ever see about a business that are honest. And the reason they're honest is because people can go to jail if they're not.
Right.
Okay, anything else, you don't know if you're getting good information or not.
Now, what if you're looking to start a business in an online business? So now we're looking at this new medium and the new way that people are, the new wealth as we're moving forward. I can't imagine that there's a lot of online business owners that are in the same position as some of the bricks and mortar people that are desperate sellers. Or am I incorrect?
I don't think that there are a lot of sellers necessarily out there of online businesses, unless sometimes what happens is you get people who are very prolific at coming up with new ideas and ways to make money on the internet. And so what they did is they started 2 or 3 or 4 different businesses, and now they're all doing well. And some are doing better than others. So they look at the ones that maybe aren't doing quite as well, still doing good, and they become sellers.
So they may be willing to let those go.
Right, yeah, exactly. And so they may be wanting to sell that. But you still have to be careful, because in the end, what do you see? Again, to me, a business is all about leverage.
Right.
If it's time intensive, I got to be in the business to make the money. That's not usually a good use of my time. It comes back to the concept of, to make money in business, you don't want to spend your time working in the business. It doesn't matter what the business is. You want to spend your time working on the business. How do you develop a formula that is replicatable, so that once you've got it complete and you've got a unit that's making money and you've got it fully documented, what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and then you make that replicatable so that you can stamp those out geographically and expand them. That's where wealth starts to get created. You can get rich on the internet, but to get wealthy, you've got to come up with a business that's replicatable. I mean, even YouTube, there's a lot of replication going on there. It's a formula that people sign into, log into, sign up for over and over and over again without a human being touching it.
Right.
It's all automated and replicatable. And so any business that you're looking to really create wealth in, you want it to have a high degree of scalability, easily expanded, easy to replicate the formula, but not that easy that a competitor can knock you out too quickly.
Now, you know, it seems to me, and it seems very complex to buy these businesses. It seems like, wow. And I want you to correct me where I'm wrong, because I feel like, okay, I could be wrong on this, but it seems like, boy, buying this business, buying that business, it seems like a lot for somebody to handle, to manage, to run effectively. You know, you get the entrepreneur that's got some entrepreneurial dream that they want to go launch, and it's like, okay, well, why don't I just go launch it, rather than taking on the complexity of these businesses that may or may not be working, that, you know, to analyze these businesses, to go in there and understand those businesses, to bring all the moving parts together. Why?
You almost answered your own question if you think about it, okay? Maybe you shouldn't, okay? Where are you in your level of sophistication? If you're a person who's never run a business before, and you really need to start with something very small, be very hands-on, it's a reason to start, okay? But even there's still a reason to buy. And the reason is because with the business comes an asset and a resource that, I don't care how much money you have, you can't replace it. And that is the owner with the years of experience. Remember, any business you buy today, you're not going to write the check. No one is going to write that owner a check for all of his purchase price. They're going to give him so much down, and then the balance over time. So that owner is highly motivated to know that whoever's buying that business is really educated into how to make money out of that business. Okay, so you buy it, that seller is committed to training you how to run that company. Now, the reason that that's important is when I bought my first motorcycle parts manufacturing company, I had very limited experience in business. And my time with that seller was the equivalent of a PhD, an LLB, an MBA, whatever letters you want to put after my name, because I learned from that seller in about a 6-month to 9-month period what it would have taken me years to learn if I had to go out and figure out all that stuff on my own. And here it was, years of success, all compacted down into a 6 to 9 month training period. And when he left that company, I mean, he left that company knowing that I was able to run that company, and it was in his interest to make sure it happened.
Sure. Now, do you ever leave those owners in place from a management perspective?
Sometimes, yes. And I would never buy a company